I think we can officially say that Sisay has just completely taken over. How's it going, folks? I'm Matthew. This is the Lemora's Cards, and today we're gonna be taking a look at the FishBowl 4, a 166 player cEDH in-person event over on the West Coast. Biggest 2-day West Coast event ever. We're always breaking records right now. cEDH is crazy, and this event, dude, we are in a very turbo-pilled meta right now. I tell you what. Last week, we had Final Fortune with 5 Size in top 16. This week's Mana Vault tournament also had 4 Size in top 16. And today, you're going to see it. We had 6 Size in top 16. It's insane. I don't know. I don't even know what to say at this point. The ROG apocalypse is upon us. I am going to try to show off any new stuff or experimenting in especially those ROG decks. This is a pretty big competitive tournament, but there is some pretty wild cards included here. If you enjoy this, like, comment, subscribe, probably at 10K by the time you see it. Just no big deal. We're just blowing up over here. Support me on Patreon. Helps out a whole ton. Get access to cool perks. And I think with all that being said, we can go ahead and hop into the meta breakdown. Use the link in the description below to download Whatnot, and you'll get $15 to use to buy Magic singles, sealed product, get anything that you want, really. There's no limits. You just get $15 on the account for free just for signing up. Use the link in the description below. Give Whatnot a try. Most popular deck, Tymna Kraum. Nothing new to see here. Not doing the best, not the worst. 17% conversion rate. 13 entries for Sisay. 6 of them topped. 46% conversion rate. Bruh. 2 Nadus, 22%. Nadu cementing itself as, you know, one of the most popular decks now. Good bit of Sisay is 22%, doing all right. First kind of fall off we see here is Najila with 8 entries and no top 16s. 1 Talion sneaking in there, and then we see like some Magdas, Obnixiluses, Kinriths, really decks that aren't going to be that well positioned into a, you know, hey, I have to play a triple ROG pod. Wild stuff right now, dude. It is wild out here. Cool to see Obnixilis show up, a couple Corvols, some Stellas, stuff like that. We're kind of top heavy in this one. You can see not a lot of non-meta stuff got in there. There was a little bit of it. We'll get there. Let's take a look at what we got going on here. La-dee-da-dee-da. ROG on my nug. First up, it's a Sisay. You know how we do it. Nothing wild in the creature package. Sorceries. We are on the plunge, both the extra turns. We are not on the Wheel of Misfortune, which has been pretty popular as a cut. Instants, shooters, interaction, blah, blah, blah. Nas, flare, no swan song, artifacts, a bunch of rocks, grinding station, defense grid. Looking pretty standard. Okay, so we got our first little spicy include. These 5 enchantments you should expect to see in most Size. And then Leyline of Anticipation. Might not be the last one we see, but yeah. One way to really boost your speed is to take advantage of your double necro effects and start the game with a Leyline of Anticipation in play. Not the highest quality card in the world, but if you can do like Leyline in turn 1 necro, it's basically just like a turn 1 win, almost guaranteed. You know, you're going to need to look at like probably 38 cards, depending on the land you played for turn. Kind of the only spicy include in this list that I've seen, but yeah, Leyline of Anticipation, we might be there, boys. And then we are on the Raucous Theater over Undercity Sewers. Then we're looking at Tymna Kraum. I think we've seen this list before. That's the Teferi Kitten version. That's also on Delny. And then also on DRC, opting for those. And then no Dranith. And then is on Flesh Duplicate over Fimage. I think we're going to start to see Mockingbird replace Fimage and Flesh Duplicate in a lot of these lists. We'll see. Sorceries on the Peer into the Abyss. Okay, that's pretty hot. On 1 wheel, no board wipe here, no deluge, which isn't the kind of card I'm trying to bring into a West Coast tournament, so I don't blame you. We got the Offer, Fluster, Spell Snare. Really surprised to see this at this point. Final Fortune, we're on the Snapback. A lot of these are like cards you see in like some of the European lists. Like, oh, we're on Flare? Okay, well, we're on so like Snapback, Peer, DRC, even Delny. But we're on Flare of Duplication with DRC, Ragavan, and Dockside as our real red creatures plus Kraum. If you're casting Simian Spirit Guide, you might as well just hold up that Flare of Duplication mana. Although it is a Tymna attacker, right? So I don't know. Really curious how Flare has played out in Tymna Kraum when you have so few things, and like it being a 5-mana commander is the one you can sack. I mean, it's still a very powerful card, so might be worth the include. Artifacts, you know, we got the mana and the Wish Claw. We are a Mox Amber build. The auto includes plus Smothering Tithe, and we are a Cavern of Souls build. All right, we managed to get what's usually a dedicated control deck into the top 16 here. Let's take a look. We got Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, Drake, Bowmaster, Historical Oppo, Shieldred, nice at pressuring those life totals, Subtlety, and Hullbreaker Horror. Yeah, these are cards you see show up. Usually the Italians aren't too high on creatures. They run like 4 to 8, I feel like, probably closer around 6. Looking pretty similar to this. I don't know that I've covered too many with Shieldred recently. Makes sense though. Okay, so we're really going up on the wipes here. We got the Deluge. We're on the Windfall. Probably in this meta, I like a Twister, but I don't know, maybe they prefer Windfall. I mean, they are a mean bet deck. Massacre is 4 mana sorcery. If opponent controls a planes, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Pretty hot little tech. Who it's really for is hard to say. I mean, it's best probably against like the Nadus of the world. They don't really control planes, so you kind of need like another Tymna Kraum or, you know, some other white deck like that. But between that and the Deluge, they are teched out to deal with those creature-heavy board states. And then we're going to have a billion ways to interact. That's what we're doing here in Talion. Trick Serenade, Lemdul's Vault, no Misdirection, Commandeer, none of that. Pretty normal card includes. We're on the Cage, Curse Totem, D-Grid, Posture Mech. We are on the One Ring, Thought Vessel, pretty nice include. And we're on the Mox Amber. Really with only the 2 legend. I guess Jace counts as well. Enchantments, we're on the Copy Artifact. Been seeing a lot of that. Dress Down, Counterbalance, Rhystic, Mystic. 28 lands, we got a Cavern. Anything super hot. Reliquary Tower, so really liking that no max hand size effect. Makes sense in this control deck that's trying to draw a million cards. But yeah, pretty normal stuff for Talion. It seems like they were teched for decks that didn't even necessarily do especially well, so that's pretty nice. Although like them being such a dedicated control list can help in like single Rogsai pods where they're able to stop their first little bit of stuff that they do and then are hopefully able to like draw cards off of the fight over that or people developing after that and then kind of take over a game. So Talion's still getting it done even in this very turbo-pilled environment. Then we got Malcolm Vial. Let's see what brand of it is. We got some of the pirate synergies. We got the Kedis making us treasures with that Malcolm. Magda using our treasure, searching up a Niv-Mizzet, putting it straight into play. Glenhorn Buccaneer to combo off. We got a Clone and Flesh Duplicate. Talion to draw cards. So it's not crazy. They're not running like the Siren Storm Tamer, stuff like that, like really leaning into the piratey stuff and playing for a slower game, but running some bigger things. They can cheat out potentially. They might also be on like Reanimate. Yeah, we tend to see that in like the Niv-Mizzet builds. Also good to get back your Glinthorn. It lines up well with like the Lively Dirges, stuff like that. You can run in Tombs and just get more ways to get Glinthorn or even Thassa's Oracle. J-Will, Beseech. We do have the Entomb. Kind of expect to see that. Final Fortune. We're on the days. Keeping it lean. Pyro and Red Blast. Coin the week. We are Nosing. And we're Intuitioning. Can do like Intuition for Thassa's Oracle, Reanimate, Underworld Breach. Something like that, right? Or just a bunch of good cards. Or, you know, like we have a bunch of options. I guess Glenhorn, Reanimate, pretty good. Bunch of fast mana, our LED. We are on the One Ring and the Defense Grid. Lots of enchantments. Got the Curiosity. Animate Dead. We're kind of a semi-reanimator deck. Makes sense. Chthonian Nightmare, which we don't have a way to like win with necessarily, like combo off. You can do like Dockside for infinite treasures, debate Magda. That doesn't, I mean, that gets you a Wish Claw. Probably when you can Naz with infinite mana. There's obviously stuff to do with it. It can let you bring back, like it's one of the better ways to bring back your Glinthorn Buccaneer and be able to like keep refiring it. So that's pretty nice. But it doesn't have like, it's not like a Kinrith or something like that where it just wins you the game. Steel Enchantment pops up. It's a Rhystic Mystic format. Both the Necros and then Breach Rhystic, of course. 25 lands on the 1 Surveil land. Also, when you see like the last chance, they'll let you know like, yeah, they have like 6-drop and a 4-drop here, but they're really not slow. They're trying to be lean. This deck is going to be inherently a little bit slower than a Rogsai. Kind of just have to accept that and build more for some stability into the longer game. That's maybe why you see like the One Ring and the Niv-Mizzet, stuff like that. They not like us. We got a Niv-Mizzet. This is another pretty dedicated control shell popping up here. Let's see what it's looking like. Pretty lean on the creatures. We got the DRC, Ragavan, Dockside, Duplicate, no Image. Almost a little surprised to see that just because like having two mana clones seems nice, but we'll see. Goblin Recruiter. Maybe we'll have a nice recruiter package. Harmonic Prodigy is really cool. I don't think I've ever seen that in Niv, but doubling up on your Niv triggers. It seems a little aspirational to run so many cards that make your Niv better when getting Niv out is the hard part of this deck. But hey, we're here, dude. Reckless Barbarian. We're trying to get that Niv out quick. Okay. Goblin Matron and like Emperor. Like these have just been cards that the deck plays. Like you kind of need to Dockside to cast this commander. Hydroelectric Specimen's pretty free. Also helps you protect the Niv. But yeah, Veyron doubling up our triggers as well as Roaming Throne doubling up our triggers, which this can be more flexible. You know, we can name Goblin and do some cool stuff. Really looking like it's leaning into getting Niv out very quickly and then making him super busted. He's already very busted, and just doubling up Niv triggers is absurd. Strike It Rich also confirms that game plan, right? Step Through can get us what? The Veyron, the Harmonic Prodigy. Not really a crazy thing to find with it. All right, instance. This is where it all is, right? 32. We got the Commandeers. Every free spell you can imagine basically is here. We got the Commandeer, Misdirection, Submerged, Pact of Negation, Essence Flux to save our Niv. Strict Serenade slots in here really well. We're even going into Arcane Denial, Disrupting Shoal. You love to see it. I actually think that's a perfectly reasonable include. Pyrokinesis, I think, is a very underplayed card, especially in non-Naz decks. Pyrokinesis being free in instant speed. Huge. Yeah, we are lean. We are interacting for free. The one cEDH deck, pretty much, that you'll see run Pentad Prism to help fix us those colors. Little bits of hate pieces like Graph Digger's Cage, Moon Silver Key. There's no shot we're just spinning that to get Jewel Lotus, right? Are we down that bad? Maybe. And then we are on the One Ring. Curiosity, Ophidian. I noticed we were not on the other creature Curiosity effect. You don't really have to run all of them, and they're terrible cards 99% of the time. Steal Enchantment, Copy Enchantment. So really, playing this game plan, this is just like a package we're starting to see maybe pop up more and more. Wouldn't have been surprised to see like a Talon Gates. We are on the horizon of progress. But yeah, Niv-Mizzet, another dedicated control shell popping up. And that does kind of make sense, right? Like if these decks get to set up and survive, and especially get their engine online, it is pretty hard to win through a Niv who's just getting to draw off of every counterspell interaction. And it's their own counterspells, right? Niv-Mizzet is just absurd when a real cEDH stack war starts happening. All right, we got a Sisay. Which version of it is it? It's looking like Planeswalker Sisay. We got 8 of them. Ashiok, Dahada, Oko. So heavy on the flex ones. Also Invasion showing up here. Creatures. We got, what is this? 5 Dorks plus Ragavan. Bloom Tender. Bloom Tender's not a dork in this deck. Bloom Tender's a combo piece. We are in the Gilded Drake and the Sky Turtle. It's really seeming like these creatures are cementing themselves as more staple-y cards of Sisay. I see lots of Urtais and Rockos and Sakushimas at this point. Nothing too crazy, Assassin's Creed cards, none of that. Just clean, good Sisay legends. Just the one sorcery, Demonic Tutor. Instance. We are on the Serenade, bits of free interaction. We are on the Fire Covenant. Don't want a deluge in this deck, that's for sure. Tutors, the bits of interaction that they want to run. Artifacts, we got the Cauldron, Relic. Enchantments, we are on the Cultist, Blind Obedience. This is pretty standard. It's not that uncommon to see these 7 enchantments here. 29 lands, Cradle, Mount Doom. Nothing really standing out. Pretty textbook Sisay list, I would say. Oko plus Ashiok isn't the most common. Like, it's not every single deck, but there's pretty common. So pretty lean, clean Sisay build. All right, let me show you these Rogsai lines real quick. We got Ori's Rogsai, notably not on Orcish Bowmasters. You don't really need it if you're not planning to play past turn 2. I mean, come on, guys. We're on the Get Probe, Plunge. On the Transmute artifact, we'll see what it's for. We'll get there. We used to play Bolas' Citadel. Also, Transmute can be good with Defense Grid. Like, it just lines up well, especially if you're on Citadel, but the card is just pretty good when you have Defense Grid, Wishclaw Talisman, and then, like, some kind of payoff, like a Bolas' Citadel. The hottest thing here, the memeiest thing we got is the Ristic Tutor, which is 2 and a black. Unless any player pays 2, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, shuffle. They never pay. Who can afford to hold up 2 mana in this day and age, dude? This is happening on, on his turn 1 win attempt. How are they going to have 2 mana up? Then we got Twister, Wheel, Windfall, No Misfortune. The Ristic Tutor, haven't played with it. I hear it's good. They're telling me it's good. I know they've been memeing about some stuff like Hoarding Broodlord. I didn't see that in any of these top 16s. You trolls. All right, then we got a whole bunch of Rogsai staples, fast mana, all this nonsense. Nothing too wild in the instant slot. Artifacts. We were on the Citadel, which is hot. We were on the Apple. So in terms of like transmute targets that are reasonable, LED occasionally. You can always just make mana with like a mana vault. But Defense Grid, Grinding Station, Wishclaw, Apple of Eden. It's basically 4 mana, pay 4 life, sack it. Look at somebody's hand. You exile it face down, and then you can cast spells from their hand, and they draw a card when you do, and then in a turn they get the card to get the hand back. Heard that this one's kind of like on the edge. Maybe it's not quite there, but they're testing it. If you're on Transmute, it's a little bit better. Really good at punishing very big hands. It's something you can like deploy early on. It's just this looming threat. Citadel is really hot. One of my favorite cards ever. Problem I have with Bolas' Citadel is that the cards Pact of Negation, Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep, the 2 blasts, which depending on which one, they can be easy-ish to clear. Daze, Fierce, SWAT. SWAT you can also kind of get around off the top of your library. Like, this deck actually runs so many counter spells, and it's gone lower, so it's getting easier, that you can have between that and your 23 to 24 lands can have problems clearing off the top with Citadel, but your deck is mostly gas. It's still going to be good, but we'll see if it sticks around. Enchantments, kind of the staple 5 that we got, both Necros. And then only on the 23 lands, back on the Mount Doom, is on Raucous Theater, no Undercity Sewer. So that might be something we start to see. Maybe depending on how your games are going, maybe you lean towards that. Then we've got one more Tymna Kraum, at least 13 creatures. So we are on the Drannith, the staple creatures for Tymna Kraum. We are on the Reanimate, Wheel, and Deluge. I don't got that much to say so far. We're on the Miscast, so really close to like Freedom's list other than the creatures right now. And I know he's going to bring in Mockingbird over Fimage, but that's card's still not legal yet, I don't think. No Dispel. Artifacts, you know the deal. Mana, Wishclaw, LED, enchantment. So we're on the copy artifacts. So yeah, pretty close to Freedom's list other than like, I don't think Freedom's on Necro and is on Drannith. So like a couple swaps. And then 28 lands on the Forbidden Orchard. We are on the Undercity Sewers as well. So a couple changes from like the stock Tymna Kraum. It's just kind of seasoned for taste basically. Another Sisay. So here we don't see the Ashiok, Dahada, or the Oko. Pretty much just sticking with the combo-y ones. Creatures, got a bunch of dorks, Archivist of Ogma sticking out. We're on the Felia. Nice little way to flash in a dude to attack and exile a op agent or something like that. And the rest of these are pretty standard. Like I was saying, like these are pretty much in every Sisay build at this point. We're on the Finale over the DT. On the Miscast, Silence, Offer, Enlightened Tutor, Psych Rift. It's a little bit different in how they're choosing to interact, but about as interactive. Artifacts, I think the same. The last one I know was not on Witchclaw Talisman, but it bumps up your dockside count, guys. And then this is a Deafening Silence build. And then they are on the Oath of Nissa. So like, again, these are pretty much staples. You don't, Cultist, Deafening Silence, and Oath are the most like play 'em or don't, whatever cards. 29 lands. Nothing standing out here. So it's not the most exciting in the world. I don't know if the last one was on Talion, but we got Talion here as an engine. Testing out Felia. Seems okay. All right, we got Nadu, the bird. This is Gold Sabertooth's list. You'll know I covered this one in detail in the cEDH Meta Explained video. Main thing he's doing differently than some Nadus is working with the Ashaya Quirion Ranger landfall stuff. Tyler's Provisioner and Nissa also being part of that package. Really taking advantage of the fact that Nadu is broken and put the lands into play untapped. And then also when your creatures start to be lands, you can start to do some bonkers stuff. Nissa can help assemble you with a nice little package with Quirion Ranger and Ashaya. Lots of good stuff. Then we're on the Tribute and the Trinket Mage, Kitten. Rest of these pretty staple-y, but you're starting to see, I think, less and less of the like Apheto Alchemist type cards that, you know, just tap untap. Though I think Sam Black's list that just won Mana Vault's most recent tournament was on those effects. Sorceries were on the Twister, Fabricate, Finale, Zenith. So we got the Crop Rot, Revival, Noxious Revival, Miscast, Veil, Muddle the Mixture, Flare of Denial, Hot. We're on the Misdirection. Card we're seeing more and more of. Nothing unbelievable here. We're not seeing the Sea King's Blessing, Gaia's whatever. None of that. Bunch of mana. We got the Shuko. We got the Conqueror's Flail, the Greaves, the Umbral Mantle. We will give our creatures +1/+0 and kill you, just not by attacking. Mystic Ristic. 35 lands, Dryad Arbor, Field of the Dead, Avamaya, Cephalid Coliseum, so lots of utility lands. Talon Gates, we are a Crop Rod deck, of course, we're going to be running that. Urza Saga, so lots of utility in our lands, just lots of lands in general. This is where Nadu is at. It's starting to seem like 35 might be about the count. 33 to 35 might be the Nadu count. We're seeing it get cleaned up still. Nadu's still developing a little bit. We're starting to see people get rid of some of the cutesier things and build for a more consistent game plan. And Tim has had multiple good results with Nadu already. So if you're thinking about picking up Nadu, this might be the list to go with. All right, we got a little bit of a streak of rock size to look at here. Pretty notable inclusions here. We got the staple 6 creatures plus Goblin Welder. Some of that, like Mardu nonsense going on. And then Opposition Agent. We'll see what the Welder's for. That usually means Citadel nonsense. Op Agent is really good against other Grixis piles, right? You're likely to catch them doing a DT or, activating a Wishclaw or whatever. Never a bad include. It's just not that popular. Maybe if you're trying to go like slightly slower. We got the Transmute as well. It's making me think even more likely that we're on Bolas' Citadel. Twister, Windfall, Wheel, and Wheel of Misfortune. So it is running all 4 wheels here. No Ristic Tutor. Come on, dude. Rituals, Entomb. We're entombing. Where's the Broodlord? I was lied to. Artifacts. There it is. There's the big boy. The Bolas' Citadel is here. Also is on the Conqueror's Flail, which has been less popular, but there's some scenarios where you might want to transmute for that or Goblin Engineer for that. It's also on slightly more creatures than other Rog side builds, so it's a little bit more likely you can put that on something other than your Rog that you might be sacrificing. So yeah, got the Grinding Station, Wishclaw. Pretty much the same options. No Apple here though. 5 Rog side enchantments that you must run. And then only on the 23 lands, Undercity Sewers, no Raucous Theater. So yeah, we're seeing some more experimenting in Rockside with Bolas' Citadel. I love it. I'm here for it. I think it's the coolest card in the format, probably. Was able to confirm the secret identity of our next pilot as Zane, and was able to get the list. So we've got a Goblin Welder Enjoyer, and then the other 6 kind of stapley creatures. No Rhystic Tutor, a little disappointed Zane. All is on the Wheel of Misfortune. Nothing else really standing out here. Is on the Entomb, which makes sense with Welder. Also on Brainstorm, which I like because we're clearly like, if we're on Welder, right, we're doing Citadel stuff. Brainstorm was a card we saw like early on for Rogsai. One, it can like, you know, you can crack a top deck tutor. It can also just turn your junk into gas. Help you shuffle around some cards, you know, works well with the fetch land, stuff like that. We don't really care too much about getting Bowmastered, which is one of the downsides of Brainstorm. So like, it makes sense. And then also, it works really, really well with Bolas' Citadel. Though he was not on Transmute Artifact, is on Pyroblast, so no red Elemental Blast, not showing up here. The rest looking pretty normal. And then artifacts, nothing really new, I don't think, for the Welder package. Just the same, you know, Grinding Station, Bolas Citadel being the main edition, Defense Grid, stuff we've been seeing, bunch of mana rocks. And then the enchantments, standard stuff. And then it looks like Zane is down to 23 lands, is on the Undercity Sewers instead of Raucous Theater. We're in a new era. We're in the Goblin Welder era of Rogsai right now. All right. If you're wondering why it looks like a completely different person is doing this presentation, it's because this deck list was wrong and I had to go back and redo it. Here we are, taking a look at our 4th place Rogsai. We're running just the 5 creatures here. Another player choosing not to run Orcish Bowmasters, which you don't really need, especially if you're trying to win super fast. For the sorceries, Plunge, Probe, lots of the staples, so got all the extra turns. We're on just the 3 wheels, no Misfortune. Not too wild here. There are some interesting includes though in this one. One sticking out is Sink into Stupor, which is the 3 mana return target spell or non-land permanent opponent controls to its owner's hand. And that's also a Bolt land as an MDFC. Not one I've seen really any Rogsai look to test. It seems like it's a little bit of the worst of both worlds. It's now a land that gives me 3 mana hit off of Ad Nauseam. You know, not the best thing in the world, but it's also a land that is a spell. And then we're also on the Misdirection, which I actually think is kind of good. I think if you're going to run more interaction, running something that's a free spell, like in terms of dealing with a counter spell, this is basically just a Force of Will that doesn't require me to lose life. And it doesn't deal with like a silence, for instance. So it lines up poorly there, but lines up pretty well at dealing with the Fierce Guardianships, the SWATs, the stuff like that. Artifacts, we're on the Vexing Bauble, which is kind of bonkers. We have so much free mana. We can use it as sort of like a Defense Grid at home or a Conqueror's Flow at home, and you can sacrifice it if you are expecting a bunch of more Rogsais in your pod, being able to power out some mana and then end on a Vexing Bauble and have them looking at their worthless command zone and all their fast mana that they can't play anymore. Kind of good. Seems like it could be a nice little meta call for some of these decks. It will be awkward in some scenarios, but again, 1 mana sacrifice it, draw a card. It's not the worst floor in the world. Enchantments, the standard. And then we're on 25 proper lands, meaning we got 26 including MDFC, which is by far the highest count I've seen in a Rogsai. We're on the Gemstone Mine coming in. Got the Undercity Sewers, no Raucous Theater. Another Rogsai just experimenting with a couple slots here, and especially experimenting with the more lands. Kind of an interesting take to see here on Rogsai. Then we're looking at Cringe Farm, another TNK. Got the 12 creatures. That's pretty cringe. Nothing exciting. Come on, dude. We're on the Deluge and the Wheel. No Reanimate. We're on the Angel's Grace, which is not Cope. It is pretty good. It's good with Final Fortune. It's good with Ad Nauseam. If you're using it to not die, that's cringe. We're on the Offer, Strict Serenade. Oh, that's why this is Cringe Farm. A Spell Pierce even. Okay. Pretty flexible. I see you. Bunch of mana rocks, Wish Claw, you know, the LED, all that good stuff. We are on the Necropotence. Respect it. No Smothering Tithe. And then 27 lands. No Surveil land. We've got a Morphic Bull. So yeah, TNK opting to interact a little bit differently, running Angel's Grace. Pretty good looking little Tymna Kraum deck list, getting 3rd here. Second place, we got another Nadu. We're on the Tezzeret here. 20 creatures. So here we are on the Apheto Alchemist and the Seeker of Skybreak. So more of the untappers. Not opting for the lands thing. We're on the Dosin, which is based and required to, like, you need to play that if you're in green because that's cool. We're on the Trinket, no Tribute Mage. We're on Unctus. So doing some different stuff, not doing the land combo stuff, is doing the regular untappers. Sorceries, 3 tutors. Instance, we got the Misdirection, Fluster, March showing up here. We're on the Seeking's Blessing and Sylvan Paradise. So we're seeing like the 2 types of Nadu builds here, which keeps happening in a lot of my videos. Pongify, bunch of free interaction, Force of Vigor, which I don't know if we saw in the last one. Shuko, Greaves, Umbral Mantle, you know, we're an equipment deck. And then the One Ring, Mystic Ristic, only 32 lands, so getting 3 whole more spells into your deck. Talon Gates, we're on the Teleria, so we can target our creatures. Okina, we're doing the thing, dude. We are targeting creatures. It's getting easier for me to actually identify what's happening with this deck. When this deck first got revealed, seeing so many new cards and janky nonsense that's in here, and I'm appreciating how this deck list is developing, and it makes it very easy for me to actually realize what is happening. And then the winner, of course, how else could it be? We got Roxai. We're on the staple 6 creatures for Roxai. Sorceries, we've got nothing interesting, I don't think. Beseech, the 3 wheels, no misfortune. Probe and Plunge, no Swan Song, that's for nerds. Think the same instance that we've been seeing in most of the lists. Not doing any of the Transmute, the Apple, the Bolas Citadel, none of that. Just keeping it lean and clean. Bunch of mana rocks, D-Grid, Grinding Station, Wishclaw. Enchantments, this is the hot one. Of course, we got another Leyline of Anticipation Joyer. I think this is the player who went off with this and won like turn 1 or 2, like with Leyline of Anticipation, if that's correct, hopefully, which is super hot. I might just have to test this card, dude. It's seeming really, really sick. I'm really liking the experimenting we're seeing with the rock size. I know it doesn't seem crazy. Oh, you only swapped out 1 card, whatever. Shut up, nerd. How about that? And then 23 lands on the Raucous Theater, no Undercity Sewers. So that's our slot. And then, yeah, again, 23 lands. We're starting to see that be more and more the case. It's a very long time that 24 was the standard. We're figuring Roxai out, tweaking the numbers. We're trying to figure it out because we got to tweak Roxai to beat all the other Roxais, right? So hopefully you enjoyed this Roxai filled video. Let me know what you think about the current cEDH metagame, how wild and quick it's getting, and what you think about some of the experimenting we're seeing with like Roxai and, you know, decks like Nadu develop, whether you think the Sea King's Blessings and the Untappers are good or you like the lands package. Let me know down below. If you're at CCS this weekend, please come up, yell at me. Unless I'm doing commentary, maybe don't yell at me too loud, but, you know, try to say hi best you can. If you're not there, remember that I'm going to be doing the commentary. I will be on the stream, so you can check that out. Info in the description below for you guys to check out. And I think with all that being said, thanks so much for watching. And as always, go play cEDH. Have a good one, everybody.